Yes, we are starting.
Okay.
All right.
No, I'm good. Right now, the fourth tour with LL has, we made our way to the West Coast right now. We've been on the road for like a month and a half. And, I will say that, of the 30 years I've been doing this is probably the hardest I've ever worked in my life. Like, I tend to make things look easy when we do it, like it's no sweat.
Right.
Um,
You
and
do.
then once you enroll at Camp Cool J, LO's like the drill sergeant of all drill sergeants when it comes to everything. Even as rehearsals are as intense as the actual shows we do.
My person, we were live streaming a show you guys did. You had like Erica Badu come on, Bilal came out. It was just a beautiful, I don't know. And my person, he's like, yo, can you imagine being there? I'm like, no, that's why I cannot wait for this show in September because that would just
Right.
be magical.
This is what I want to stress to people. I know oftentimes when you see these multi bills of all these names, you'll just be like, all right, well, I know I just want to see LL Cool J, so let me take a wild guess and say that he'll come on at 9:30. And then some people get there and they'll hit me in DMs later like, yo, how come he didn't do Round the Way Girl or doing it or his hits? And I'm like, that's because he did it earlier. Like what we're doing is kind of a throwback to how Motown used to tour back in the 60s, which is instead of like an opening act and then the intermission and the next act and the intermission and the next act and the intermission, we're just basically doing a 3.5 hour mixtape where one act will come on, then the next act will do two songs, and the next act will come and do two songs, and then some other act will come back and do another song, and then the Roots return and do a song, and then LL does his second set. So it's just not. It's literally like a live DJ set for 3.5 hours with no breaks in them, and people are. It takes some adjusting to get used to, but I see that that's probably more exciting than doing something traditional, which I'm about pushing the envelope and figuring out what other creative juices we got inside of us.
I can't wait. It's going to be epic. I can just, oh my God. We're not even going to get into all of that, but I'm so excited to be interviewing you at all. Like, my mother, who is like, when I say I have a traditional Southern mom who is all about her game shows, her soap operas, and Jesus. And she's like, you're interviewing Questlove? I want to go with you to work. And I'm just like, that never happens, okay? Ever.
I know, man. I went from college kids to now grandparents everywhere love me now. So, I'm covering all my bases. Tell her thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you made my mama proud of me today. So that never happens. I appreciate it, sir.
I thank you. Well, give your mother love. I love that. Thank you.
So like you're halfway to towards your EGOT basically at this point. So do we have
halfway? Yeah.
You are. So you got some plays in the works. What you got coming?
Yeah, believe it or not, we do. We've been even before Summer of Soul, I'd signed on to bring Soul Train to Broadway. This has been about 7 years in the making. So right now in San Francisco, there is in the very beginning of, and this is the same people that brought you the Temptations, the very successful Temptations on Broadway play. They're working out the kinks right now, and we should have Soul Train on Broadway mid for the 2024 season. It's kind of weird how that all works out because I think with my music career, I was so, I guess you could say, laser focused and calculating on how to win a Grammy, like what do I need, what steps I need to take. And what's weird is that when the pandemic came and all of us were at ground zero as a people, like we didn't know if we were coming or going, we didn't know what we were doing. It's kind of weird for me that my world started opening up once I stopped treating this like a business. There's a point where like you're excited, you get your record deal, you're happy, you're making your first few records and it's exciting. And then, once you get to your sixth and seventh record, I think with human beings, like, we get, once you become an expert at something, then it's like no longer fun. It's just like your job.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I realized that I have to do other things that are creative. That somehow I got my groove back, So I will say that it was once I stopped chasing the awards and try to chase the hit singles and what musical achievements can we do. Like once I just started like being curious and doing other things, then suddenly like the world is opening up for me. So I kind of want to stay in that place where, yeah, if I become an EGOT, I welcome that. I absolutely welcome that. But I think right now I'm just trying to be, proverbial 9-year-old that's curious about how this works and how that works, and
you just following your bliss.
Exactly. We should all be 9 years old and following our passions. So that's what I'm about now.
How do you wake up at 6:23 every morning? Like, how does that happen?
How? Previously I will say that sleep was not a friend of mine. I didn't think that I needed sleep. And then in the pandemic, once everything, well, for starters, we had nothing to do during the pandemic. Like there was a point where we weren't even doing the Tonight Show. But then on top of that, I was like quarantining with a family that had a farm, and kind of in that farm, there's really nothing to do but just sit with yourself and sit with your thoughts and read and meditate and all this stuff. And so I'll basically say that kind of the 2.0 version of myself started rearing its head, and I realized that sleep is important, and also not overloading myself with that much work. I mean, I work hard now, but I was the absolute mess before 2016, where in one day I could teach college, host a radio show, do the Tonight Show, score a movie, go do a DJ gig, and do some songwriting for a Roots project. Like I would do like 6 to 7 things a day, and that was really just
draining.
That's not chasing a passion. That's like avoiding myself. So I think now I wake up early in the morning, and I do my morning routine. I do my breath work. I kind of do my gratitude,
which is hard because I've tried breath work. I meditate, and you transcendental meditate, and that is a hard form. I know it's ignorant to say a hard meditation, but that's a hard meditation. I try it.
Here's the thing. I will say that I'm reading a book now which basically says that any habit can form if you just consistently do it at least 18 days in a row. And I think of like a diet or something. You know what I mean? Like when you drop sugar for you like cranky, and by day 4 you're staring at that bread crust in the trash, like whatever, like going through the motions. I will say that in the very beginning, it felt very silly, very hippie-ish, very this is not me, side-eyeing a lot of my friends that are like doing this. And it's kind of weird where the universe pushes you. Like again, if you remember where we were in the pandemic, like in May, especially like of 2020, where you didn't know if you were going to live or die the next day. Life sort of has a way of, I mean, I wish it wasn't that way where, like sometimes you got to go to rock bottom in order to change your life. I kind of think the pandemic was really a gift. Like most people have to go to jail or get shot or have some very extreme circumstance happen to them for them to be like, okay, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. And kind of with the pandemic was our one chance where the universe is like, all right, we're gonna play nice now, and you have a choice to make. Either you're gonna pivot now, or you're gonna perish. Which one are you gonna choose? And at that rate, where at least a close friend of mine was literally dying week after week after week after week after week, I was like, you don't have to tell me twice. I'm gonna start getting my rest, start getting my exercise. I was like 400 pounds during the pandemic, and I dropped like 120, and just really started examining what my life was. And so I just think every person reaches that place in their life where it gets to, and hopefully for a lot of us it won't be to the detriment of our life or a loved one passing away for us to want to change. So that's what I'm going through right now. I just get up in the morning, and it's not hard. I take 5 minutes out to say what I'm grateful for. Thanks for waking me up this morning. Thanks for the color brown. Whatever.
Yeah.
Do my breathing, and then I do my affirmations. Like, you gotta. Oftentimes, like we will say the worst things to ourselves, like that we wouldn't let another human being ever say to us, and we talk ourselves out of everything. So, I wish I knew this at 30, but I know it at 50, and I'm sticking with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got my listeners on a 28-day gratitude challenge, so maybe we'll try some
well
breath
tonight
work
tonight
next.
tonight is important. Tonight is the biggest full moon of the year.
It's gonna be like blue, isn't it?
Yeah, the blue moon was last night. So now's the season for you to write out what your life goals are, what you want to achieve, and all those things. And that's what I do. Like you gotta physically write it out so that your brain literally knows what your future wants to be. Because oftentimes we just think it in our heads, but you have to physically say out loud, I want to expand my business, or I want to leave my job in a year and move to da 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 and become a chef. Like that's what you physically have to do, those things. And so, what I say to you is just for 2 minutes a day, when you wake up, go to the mirror and just say your affirmations. And for me, just simply say, every day in every way, I get better and better and better. Like that's literally what I do. And, it makes a difference. We got to retrain our brains to think different. So it's a struggle in the beginning, but I've been doing this for like 2 years now, and it's just as simple as breathing to me now. So if I could do it, anybody could do it.
I understand. I got you. I went vegan like 2.5 years ago, and people were like, "How do you just?" And I'm like, "It's weird, but it's okay. Like I'm okay."
See, I got to be a vet. See, I'm sort of like whatever my mood is. I'm a mooditarian. Like, okay, let me go plant based this week and da 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 da. It's hard to maintain that on the road, but
I can imagine.
Like, it's hard to maintain it on the road, but it's
hard to maintain it when you're stationary. So I get it.
Exactly.
Like, what is your greatest? Because you've had some amazing musical collaborations throughout your career. What is your greatest or your favorite? Just your favorite.
For me, oftentimes people don't know when they're in a historical moment. Like they realize that they were doing something important, like maybe 10 or 20 years down the line. I will probably say the 4 years that I took creating the Voodoo album with D'Angelo was probably for us. It was like high school. Like we were like long lost brothers that discovered each other, and we took 4 years to make this record. And while we're recording this record, like we're getting this massive education where night after night, Prince might come say what's up to us, and then the next night, we're jamming with Q-Tip or something like that. Like every night was like something that was further kind of imperative to our musical growth. So just making that album for that 4-year period, which subsequently also just spawned off, Common got word that we were making this record. It's like, yo, I want a piece of that magic. So he came by the studio and started making his record. And then, of course, Erykah Badu, and then kind of everyone that's in that Soulquarian clique, like Mos Def and Talib Kweli and Bilal and all that stuff. So
you definitely ushered in a new era of hip hop. Like, you stopped me from being a weird girl in school, and I got to I was cool, because of that era in hip hop. But before that, I was weird. Oh, she's a weirdo.
Right. See, part of the dope thing about doing this tour with LL, especially with all the acts that are on the show, every time I see De La Soul, like I know they start eye rolling, like, here's Zamir again. But I tell them, man, like they single-handedly stopped any type of bullying I ever got on my block. Like the second the Me, Myself, and I video came out, then all the kids on the block were like, "Oh, you're like those kids, like." You're like one of the cool kids, and I'm the dumb jock. So I got to change and be the cool kid. And literally, like in a snap, it just, suddenly I wasn't the nerd or the dweeb. I was the cool guy. So yeah, it happened for me. Like De La Soul was De La Soul for me in high school. So yeah.
So yes, well, thank you for doing that for me.
Well, I appreciate it. Now you got to pay it forward, and someone's going to follow you, and then they'll follow them, and that's why it's important that we got to stay on our path and stay in our integrity, so that other people, oftentimes I think artists don't realize how they affect other people. I know that we all like to say like, I'm not a role model, and you know, for the most part, I don't think that the weight should fall on artists to be quote unquote role models. But it's also like, all right, we're not dumb. We know that. I know that, you know, there's like Roots children, and like I know that I'm being watched, and I know that my words are being heard. So
yeah,
kind of with anything that I do it with the intention of, you know, kind of planting seeds so that once I do leave this earthly plane, that I can leave it in a better condition than when I came to it. And that's important to me.
Well, you created quite a legacy for yourself, and I'm just honored to even get to talk to you now. I know you say you listen to 100 new songs a day, every day.
You know what? I try to do so. There was a point in the there was a point in the pandemic, um, where a certain world leader of ours would often give his like summer list or his yearly list of what he's listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, occasionally I roll like, all right, dude, for real. No, but here's the thing: like he will listen to Ice Spice, but I also know it's like, okay, I get it. You got to relate to people out here. You're a world leader, and you know, of course, you got daughters and all those things. But you know, I want to be a person in his life that also introduces him to music that he might not know about. So I'll say that around 2 years ago, uh, aforementioned world leader and his awesome wife kind of made it my job to be the music curator, the music czar, which I created these. I give him about 50 songs a month, and thing is, word started getting out, and then other people were like, "Well, if you made it for them, can I get it too?" So initially, I was just making it for like 10 people, and now I think as of last night, my list is closer to, let's see, yeah, I'm up to 347 people. So at the top of the month, I got to go through 500 songs. And the reason why I do it is so that I challenge myself, because you know we can all get stuck in our ways. Like, you know, the 5 records you like, you know, the 20 songs you like. When you're in the gym, you listen to the same. We do the same thing every day. Like, we're habitual, especially as we get older. We brush our teeth the same. We go to the same job. We get the same food. Order the same Starbucks. Like, we do nothing different. And for me, I don't want to be the guy that like only knows like the songs between 1974 and maybe 1991 that I like. So this also helps me break out of the habit of not discovering like new artists. So like without doing this list, I probably wouldn't know who Salt was, or Hiatus Coyote from Australia, or even like, you know, how dope Doja Cat. Like, if I just trusted the internet, like based on their comments of Doja Cat initially, like I probably wouldn't have gotten into it. But you know, she's making dope music, so it's like for me, this also helps me not get stuck in my habits of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think staying off of social media definitely helps you separate the artist from their art. So I definitely think that
Yeah.
that helps clear your mind too.
Exactly. Exactly.
What new indie artists are you looking at right now that we haven't heard of?
Man, Jesus. Now you're going to catch me like trying to figure out. I'm looking like right now on my list. Like, I will say right now, my favorite group. There's I don't know if you heard of Salt, but Salt's kind of like this mystery group of, like, I personally know who they are, but they're the kind of group that doesn't want to be revealed, because all 5 of them are individual, kind of like Salt is like their moonlighting gig. Like,
Okay.
you know, you do your day job, but what you really want to do and have fun with your friends, like you do a little side thing. So Salt is basically a super group of which, you know, they make these like amazing records. Like, if the Roots came out instead of like 93, like had we came out in like 2013, we would have been Salt. So like right now, that's like the group that I'm feeling right now. But I don't know, I'm kind of boring. Like right now, I'm listening to a bunch of like, uh, I guess you could say, binaural beats.
Oh
It's like
God,
these.
I do that. People think I'm such a
Right. See,
I listen to binaural beats. Yes.
right. It gets embarrassing at the end, because Spotify likes to snitch and tell the world like what you're listening to.
Yeah.
And if you know Fonte from Little Brother,
I love Fonte.
Right. Yes. One day Fonte looked at me like, "Hey man, you okay?" And I'm like, "Why? What'd you hear?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I saw your year-end list of all the songs, the top 20 songs you listened to." And he's like, "And none of them songs was music." And I was like, "Oh, damn, I forgot. Like people can see what I'm listening to." But yeah, like I all the time, like I need to be in a constant state of calm because of I do so much that without it, this is where you're susceptible to like new addictions. Like I'm not trying to start a cocaine habit because I can't think of an idea or like I feel like So
yeah,
oftentimes when I talk myself down off the ledge of panicking, I got to put on one of those like 10 hertz like tones just to breathe and bring myself down to earth. So
you know what else helps me?
What?
Passion flower. You take those?
I have heard of it.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. I've not done it, but okay, passion flower.
Yeah,
okay.
when my job sticks me on a stage and I'm about to like jump off because I'm so nervous and I'm gonna die. Yeah, passion
Wait,
flower.
so you still don't like hosting and you're a personality?
I have to it's like jumping from a plane for me, I just have to go ahead and do it. People don't know. I just know. It's an internal panic.
No. You and I are the same. Like people are very shocked at for a lot of the Summer of Soul campaigning I did. One of the things I had to admit was like getting over imposter syndrome. Like we all have a level of imposter syndrome where we feel like we're not worthy or like someone's going to think I'm a fraud because I don't do this as good as that person or whatever.
Yeah.
And some of the interviews are like rather shocked that I would admit that because they would just think like, well, you do television every night and you did 200 shows every night. Like, how are you an imposter syndrome person? And I realized maybe like starting with this LL tour that we're doing, that basically oftentimes our brain will tell us like we're not ready yet and let me think about it. And then I'll psych myself into it. You can't think about improvisation. You can't calculate or think about making a move. You literally just, the key to life is just one step at a time. We can look at Mount Fiji and be like, I'll never climb that mountain in my life. Or you could just be like, left foot, right foot, left foot. And then you do it. So yeah, I too have paralyzing fear of giving speeches. Then they showed me how much the check is, and I got over that very quick. No, even to this day, I get in my head about speeches, but I'm getting better about it. So
well, people love to hear from you because you just have such great insight on so many things. So definitely don't deprive us.
You also have to be rigorous. You got to be rigorously honest, and I think that's the thing that's working with people. I think oftentimes when people get to a successful plane, we kind of want to hide the blemishes, and you don't want to let people know that you cry or that you have insecurities or fears. You're supposed to be Superman. Like no one wants to see Clark Kent. But I just think that now we live in a time where people watch more reality show than they watch scripted shows, and I think for the most part people resonate with people that are just more honest and vulnerable about where they are in life. And so I absolutely positively have no qualms about sharing like any struggles that I've had, any of those things. And oftentimes people will hit me in DM and be like, yo, I really appreciate you saying that because I felt the same too. And so now I see that you have those same fears. I don't feel as you don't beat yourself up as bad once you know that everyone's going through it. So I think that post-pandemic, this is the most that Black people have talked about, mental health and that sort of things. Right. Because before it was just like, I'm going to church. I ain't doing all that, talking about my feelings. But that's not serving us because if you hold it inside, your body's going to keep the score. And then suddenly you're going to start a habit. You're going to self-soothe a little too much. And especially now, like the amount of people that we're losing to like fentanyl, we're literally dying out here. So we got to do better. We got to do better. And that doesn't mean we got to be perfect. We just got to do better.
Well, I agree with you fully. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me. I can talk to you all day, but I'm not allowed to. So the show is September the 10th here in Raleigh at PNC.
Yep. I will be there. So will De La Soul, Juvenile, The Roots, LL Cool J. Like we're coming. So we
cannot wait. I'm so excited. My sister is flying in from Texas just so we can go together. So yes.
That's awesome. All right. All right. That's good.
I can't wait to come to your show. Thank you for giving me your time today.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.